Yo, rivals, what is up? My rivals, it is that time again. Welcome to Game Rivals. I'm your host, Maximilian X, coming to you with some of the hottest gaming news that has been, at least that caught my attention over the past couple of weeks. It has been a little bit of a slow news week in terms of video game stuff that, really tickled the fancy. But to make up for that, there will be a additional segment, a segment that has been gone for quite a while, that I would like to bring back here and there whenever I can. And that is, of course, what I've been playing. So I'll be doing that near the end of this episode. But let's go into the stories that we have been having for the past couple of weeks. Like I said, there are not a lot of stories going around. I mean, there are enough stories going around, but those that caught my attention that made me go, you know what? Probably not a lot of people that are aware of these kind of news things happening in the game industry as of late. So I'm just gonna dive right into it and start off with one that caught my attention and made me go, wait, they have done this before? And that is Monster Energy. You know that, the energy drink, right? Proud sponsors of like a lot of gaming related events and whatnots. If you've seen an esport, chances are you've seen a Monster Energy representation there in some shape or form. But today's news article is not about their representation in the video game industry. No. This is about them being, well, let's be real here, just jerks about using the word monster in whatever it is you see fit, because apparently they think they own the word monster. So there's this indie game that is in development called Dark Deception: More Monsters and Mortals. That is, it's an indie game. You can look it up. It looks interesting at the very least. But the problem with it is the monsters part of Monsters and Mortals, apparently, that Monster Energy has decided to send them a cease and desist to like change the name from Dark Deception Monsters and Mortals to something else because they claim the rights to the word monster. And in this case, you would think, okay, indie developer, they probably don't have a lot of money because, Monster Energy is owned by the Coca-Cola company and they have wads and wads and wads of cash. So you'd think they'd probably back up. But no, developer Glowstick Entertainment and its founder, CEO, Vincent Livings, is not backing down, which is, you know what? Good for them, good for him. Because you know what other company tried to use the word monster in their game title a couple of years ago? Remember a couple of years ago, there was this game title that was announced called Gods and Monsters. Just that, Gods and Monsters. And all of a sudden, it changed into a title that is more widely known as Immortals Phoenix Rising. Yeah, that's right. They took it to Ubisoft, of all companies, to say, you can't use the word monster. We own that word. In like all those like marketing variants and whatnot. And Ubisoft, surprisingly, apparently backed the F down and just like let them have their day, and they changed the game's title to Immortal Phoenix Rising. If it wasn't for this article, I wouldn't have even known that was the reason why they changed the name. I was like, wait, what? They got Ubisoft to bend the knee? Okay. That is super weird. But, like I said, Vincent Livings is not taking this lying down. He took to Twitter and he put up a chain post. I'm going to read it. So, quote Vincent Livings. 1. It is well known that Monster Energy is a notorious trademark troll. Unfortunately, they're at it again. For a company that likes to target their drinks at gamers, they also like to try to bully and bankrupt game studios with lengthy high-dollar litigation. End quote. It goes on to say in this Twitter thread. Quote: Monster Energy lawyers are coming after us right now because Monsters models their game has the word monsters in it. They claim that our game is confusingly similar to their energy drink. Yep, that is really their claim. Rather than roll over, I'm going to fight them in court. End quote. There's a whole thing, but you get the gist right now, right? So Monster Energy is apparently targeting game studios whenever they tend to use the word monster in it. I don't know which game studios they have targeted outside of like well them and Ubisoft. But it's surprising to hear, right? Apparently they like doing this with multiple things, and they're like, yeah, it's too confusing. It's way too small. It's like, no, dude. We know you're a big company, but there's a big difference between a Monster Energy drink and a game that just has the word monster in it. I'm almost inclined to wonder what would happen if Universal were just to drop a movie called Universal Monsters Reunite. For example, I seriously thought they would do that after the whole, dark universe collapse thing. Um, but let's say they were to make like a monster reunion movie with all the Universal monsters, and they called it Monsters Reunion. Would Monster Energy go after them as well? Come on. Let's be real here. They would not actually, you know what? They might, considering that they did go after Ubisoft and Ubisoft folded a deck of cards apparently. Because even here's the thing. Even if Ubisoft were like, oh, we were just using that as a placeholder title, it makes no sense, right? It makes no sense to completely abandon the name entirely for a different name. That always seemed sus to me. And now it's like, okay, now we know why it happened. And that's the craziest thing. I honestly hope, I honestly hope that that Glowstick Entertainment wins this one, because it's kind of cut and dry. It makes no sense whatsoever that it makes no sense that you would focus on something that very specific. I feel like I've heard of this kind of nonsense before, where a company was like, "Hey, we this name is way too similar towards ours, so it'll confuse buyers." And I'm like, what? It made no sense. I know that back in the day, this used to happen. This is the reason why Star Fox, for the longest time in Europe, was called Star Wing for the SNES game and Lilac Wars for the N64 game. They weren't called Star Fox and Star Fox 64. They were called Star Wing, and that's how I grew up knowing it, as Star Wing and Lilac Wars. So whenever people are talking about Star Fox, I was like, what the hell is a Star Fox? Until I learned that, oh, wait, they're one and the same. They just have different names, because in Europe there were a bunch of companies that had similar names, and they were afraid, or at least Nintendo was afraid, that they'd get confused with one or the other. And there was another one in Germany that was called Star Fox. I don't know if it was a company or something was called Star Fox in Germany, which is why they decided not to call those games Star Fox in Europe, because when you're in Europe, you have to basically do everything for all the regions, which is convenient and annoying at the same time. But yeah, there you go. A big company bullying a little company, and the little company this time not taking it down, not taking it lightly. Which is, I wish Mr. Livings and his company all the best in that one. I really hope they win that one, because it is absolute garbage, absolute garbage that they would do something like that. You know what I'm saying? But you know what is not absolute garbage? At least it's not garbage, because we don't know if this is actually real or not. This is I think it's a rumor, but it was reported on insidergaming.com. They had the exclusive on this one. That PlayStation is well, Sony is creating a new handheld. Uh, before you rejoice, before you rejoice, let me read part of the article, and then um, you can choose to you can choose whether you want to rejoice or not. All right? Okay, okay. All right. So, quoting from the article, code named the Q-Lite, the next PlayStation handheld is the next piece of Sony hardware that aims to be yet another piece of hardware that requires the PlayStation 5. Inside Gaming understands that the Q-Lite is not a cloud streaming device, but instead uses remote play with the PlayStation 5, a feature the console giant has been pushing these past couple of weeks. End quote. So, this device that they're making is a remote play handheld, which okay. So at this point in time, if you own a PlayStation 4 or a PlayStation 5, remote play has been around for years now for PlayStation 4 and now of course with PlayStation 5, and you can use an app on almost any device that you currently own, either be like on your computer, on your smartphone, tablet. They recently put out a backbone uh, controller accessory for smartphones, and it looks fine. It looks okay. It's inoffensive looking. Um, I'm sure the controls are also pretty good. Like Backbone makes pretty good accessories for your your mobile devices and stuff like that. And for a while now, they've apparently been really pushing the whole remote play aspect. And I guess they thought there weren't enough devices out there in the world that supported remote play, so it seems that they're making a actual factual remote play device for the PlayStation 5. And I'm like, this makes no sense. I mean, they're saying it's not cloud gaming, so that means that you can't connect. Well, I mean, you can and you can't, right? Because it still requires you to have a PlayStation 5, so it's not actually cloud gaming. It's game streaming, but it's not like cloud streaming. It's not from a random like it's not being like randomly run from another place in a server rack. It's literally your PlayStation 5 that you're connecting through over the internet with a device that is dedicated for that. Uh, yeah, make of that what you will. I like it hasn't been announced yet, so I don't know what this is supposed to look like. Um, they do have some descriptions of it in the article. Quote the article: "As for the console's physical physiques, early prototypes show the console will look a lot like a PlayStation 5 controller, but with a massive 8-inch LCD touchscreen in the center. The device sports adaptive triggers for haptic feedback, and will include what you would come to expect from a handheld: volume buttons, speakers, and audio input jack, etc." End quote. So that's how that's supposed to look like. I still can't really picture it because an 8-inch display is pretty big. Because I think the Switch OLED is 7-inch. Is a 7-inch screen, and that's also a touchscreen. Um, so if this is an 8-inch screen, it's slightly bigger than a Switch. It can't play games natively. You require a PlayStation 5 to do so. But it still has all the features that a PlayStation 5 controller has. Uh, Ergonomics aside, considering that this thing is not actually running games, I'm pretty sure it's not going to be that heavy. Although one could argue that if you're putting an 8-inch screen on something that looks like a controller, it might get top heavy. I don't know. It is it is very funny. It is very funny. Um, but yeah, it's still there. It's still a work in progress, right? It's still a work in progress. We don't know when. We don't know when that is going to come out. I think the aim is holiday 2024 or something like that. So it's still a ways off. We still have the rumors of like the detachable disk drive for PlayStation 5, and that there's going to be a PlayStation 5 Pro, which I still feel like it's weird to have a Pro model of the PlayStation 5, considering that it feels like they're not like developers are still not tapping the most they can get out of a PlayStation 5. And that kind of has to do with the fact that the Xbox Series S exists. Um, because developers will always be forced to make a game that is, unless it's like a PlayStation exclusive, they'll always be forced to make a game that will run good enough on like the lowest common denominator device, which in this case would be the Series S. Um, so yeah, I don't know when we'll see more PlayStation exclusives that really take advantage of everything the system has to offer. And when I say everything the system has to offer, of course I am including the whole haptic feedback, the whole the whole adaptive trigger stuff. Um, I still think that there are not a lot of games that like really take advantage of it, even to this day. But I could be wrong. I mean, I don't own a PlayStation 5, but when I look at reviews and stuff like that, it doesn't really come up as a thing that is being used on a PlayStation version of a game. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Um, Speaking of seeing what happens in the future, so it's a bunch of you might be a little bit aware of a little game called Ark Survival. Um, and it's been out for a couple of years. It's pretty good. Ark Survival Evolved. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I played it on a PC through Game Pass. I love it. It's pretty challenging for what it is, which is one of those survival games where they just plop you in a location with like your like a basic tool and nothing but your wits, and like good luck figuring stuff out. Um, yeah, I mean, I've played it. It's fun to a certain point. There's only so many times that you will stomach being killed by a random dinosaur, um, before you make actual good progress. And then you also find out that you need to eat, and what happens when you eat? You have to poop. Uh, it's so weird. It's so weird that that's a thing, but yeah, I guess they were partially going for realism. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it even had a Switch version that sucked until they essentially relaunched the game for free with an update, and it's like so much better on Switch now. I don't own the Switch version. I've just seen the Digital Foundry video of that, but that is neither here nor there, because they announced a while ago, a couple of years ago, back in like I think back in 2021. I want to say 2021. Arc 2. And Arc 2 they showed a cinematic trailer. It featured everybody's favorite actor, Vin Diesel. Don't quote me on that one. It featured Vin Diesel as one of the main characters in the game. I don't think you play as him. I think he's a character that you interact with. We don't know a lot about Arc 2 because it has been delayed for a while. And yeah, it's been delayed again, as you might notice by how I'm trying to get to that point. It's been delayed again to 2024. So we won't be seeing that for a good while. And we still haven't seen anything of this game other than a cinematic trailer, which basically means we haven't seen squat. We haven't seen frame one of this game. And it's just, I mean, you know what? Fine, delay the game. If you need more time, you need more time. That's okay. But to have people waiting for that long that are very excited about it, they're like, you know what? We're going to do something nice. We are actually remaking the first game in Unreal Engine 5 so people can like enjoy the first game at a higher fidelity with better lighting, with better physics, overall a better experience. And you might be thinking, wow, gee, thanks. Studio Wildcard, the developers of the Ark games. That is very appreciated. So it's basically gonna be like what you did for Switch, right? No, no. This is not like they did with Switch, which was for free, mostly because they had a reputation to to mend. I mean, I swear to crap, if they actually sold that like update for Switch, I think people might take up pitchforks, kind of like what they're doing right now, because yes, they are working on a remake of the first game in Unreal Engine 5 because the new game is going to be running on Unreal Engine 5. And they are remaking the classic game in Unreal Engine 5, which is supposed to come out later this year. But it's not for free. No. This this remake you have to buy again at full price, including every DLC at the full price of the DLC. So yeah, if you were thinking like, well, that kind of sucks, I'm gonna skip that and just keep playing Arc One that I've always been playing. Yeah. So here's the thing, right? Um, yeah. So they're gonna turn off the servers for Arc Survival Evolved. Um, so unless you have like a private server for Survival Evolved, it's not happening. Also, they changed the name, by the way, for this remake. It's now called Ark Survival Ascended, because they ascend to the next level. Um, it's like, wait, what? So you're telling me that I have to buy this crap uh, for like $70 if it's on consoles? I They are talking about like releasing like this PC bundle. Uh, yeah, for $50. It's like, wait, what? Arc Respawn bundle is like $49.99. It's like, wait, what? Why? Why do we have to rebuy this again? It makes no it makes no sense whatsoever. I don't know why they're doing this. It is absolutely freaking crazy. I don't know. Like, here's the thing, right? If they're, I think the reason it's part of the reason why it's called. They renamed the game to Survival Ascended, and it's not Survival Evolved, because by doing so, they can justify it as a new game, even though it's literally the same game that people have been playing for years, and that kind of really sucks. Uh, that's just no. No, you can't you can't do that. You can't do that. So, if you're looking in here, so at least from what we know, the uh, so apparently, okay. So here's the thing, right? With this, with the game, right? So it's gonna cost. Okay, so there is one silver lining. Sorry, I didn't. Okay, I missed one part of the news. Actually, there is one kind of sort of silver lining. The game is like a bundle. It's just the base game. At least for Xbox Series S, X, and PC. That's the Arc Respawn bundle, which comes with the first game, Arc Survival Ascended, but also with the second game. So for free, once like Arc 2 comes out, you'll be able to play that game, including the closed betas that they will do in 2024. But only for those platforms. PlayStation 5 is still getting it, but it's just Survival Ascended. As far as I can tell, it doesn't have the second game involved. That one is $39.99. You still have to buy the DLC packs separately, which apparently are like $20 per DLC pack. And it's like, so if you're buying something for $40 to $50 and you still have to spend $20 per DLC, I don't know how many DLC packs like Arc had. That is still ridiculous. That's still ridiculous. That's like, they are literally like the only semi good deal is the one you get if you get it for Xbox Series S, X, or PC. It's like, and even that is still ridiculous because it is $50 for a game you already own. The only real thing that you can say to that one is, well, at least it comes with the sequel when it finally comes out, and you don't have to buy that separately, which still is weird. Like, why would you do that? Like why would having access to the sequel be $10 more? Or actually, what we should be saying is, why is access to the first game $10 more when you're essentially selling what I can only assume is like a pre-order bonus to Arc 2 at this point? That's how that feels, right? It is very confusing. I don't understand it. Um, the funny part is that this bundle is only for a year, and then when that year is over, they'll separate the two, so you still have to buy it separately if you didn't buy it during that first year. Ah, jeez. Okay. This is so stupid. I don't know. I'm at a loss for words with this whole Arc 2 thing. Uh, I'm not saying I'm a fan of the game. I enjoy the game for what it is. I would love to play this multiplayer, by the way, for some time. Oh, that sounds like a good stream idea. But you know what? It's fine. Let's move on to something a little more darker. I don't know, man. The news this week is, well, we're gonna get to some good news. We're gonna get to some good news, I promise. But let's get this out of the way. Uh, but yeah, remember the Activision Blizzard merger with Microsoft? Yeah, that is still highly happening. And the whole thing is, of course, uh, the whole thing is, of course, is that once the merger goes through, um, Xbox is going to get a very huge lead over pretty much everybody, in the publishing market, in the console market, in all fronts, right? Because remember what they did when they bought Bethesda. Um, all the games eventually came to Game Pass, right? They were able to offer all the games on Game Pass from Bethesda, and the ones that were still left to straggle also made its way to Game Pass. So like Deathloop is finally on Game Pass. Ghostwire Tokyo is coming to Game Pass, I think this week actually, if not already. And I mean, like, you don't think they're gonna do the same thing when they buy Activision Blizzard? I mean, that's the big fear that PlayStation is having, right? That's the big fear that Sony's having, is that they're just gonna toss all those games on Game Pass and just take everybody's leg, even if it's a multi-platform game that's already out on PlayStation. It's not like they're gonna take it away from PlayStation, but if you're going to be like, hey, you can still buy this on PlayStation, but if you own an Xbox or PC, those versions are gonna be free with your Game Pass subscription. It's it's kind of obvious which one you're gonna choose, right? At that point, I mean, fair. I haven't like played any of the Bethesda games on Game Pass yet, but that's only because you get so overwhelmed with like what's on offer on Game Pass at any given time. You're like, I don't have the time of day to do this. Unless you're like a kid or a teenager. I don't have the time to play all these games. But damn, it is a good value because whenever I want, I can just jump in and play Fallout 4, for example, on Xbox. I can play, Deathloop. I can play Ghostwire Tokyo. I can play whatever I want from Bethesda and barely bat an eye at that. And that is kind of the thing, right? The whole point is that the market share for Microsoft is going to grow exponentially after this is over. And that is indeed a worry, not just for Sony, but also, at the game industry at large, at least to most publishers out there. Um, will we see how this is going to affect everything? I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But Yeah, it is kind of a scary aspect when you think about it, that Game Pass is just like, people already call it the best value in gaming. And part of it is because they had, of course, the whole, first month is like a buck, and people were able to manipulate it so that they like essentially bought like 3 years worth of like Xbox Game Pass for a buck, and just stacked it because it's stackable, and they stacked it up for literal years. They're canceling that one, by the way. I don't think I reported on it last time, but I think I might have missed that one. But yeah, they're canceling the whole Project $1 thing. Um, that's coming to an end sometime this year. I don't remember when, but it's going to be sooner rather than later. So RP that. But that doesn't mean that it is not the best deal in gaming, especially when they are able to buy Activision Blizzard. They're just going to have so many more games available on that system, on that platform, on that service, that is like, okay, but where would you go? Where would you rather go? Even if you're not an Xbox fan, right? Like, it's a great freaking deal if you have an Xbox or a PC for that matter, because PC Game Pass also exists. And Activision Blizzard, especially Blizzard, tends to make a lot of PC games. So having all like the all Star Craft and Warcraft and all on there, it's gonna be crazy. I'm kind of curious what they're gonna do with World of Warcraft if the merger goes through. Um, wow, I don't know, like free access to World of Warcraft through PC Game Pass. I don't know. I don't know what Xbox is gonna do. I don't know what Microsoft's gonna do with all that. It's crazy. It's kind of scary. It's kind of scary. Uh, let's bring it to something that's not less scary. Let's bring it all. Let's bring it back to. Let's bring that to a little bit. A little company called Nintendo. So they recently had a little picture come out, a little movie, if you will, called the Super Mario Brothers movie, that they made in conjunction with Universal Studios, which I actually brought up as an example before in the episode. And they're, of course, they're 3D animation studio Illumination, the makers of the Minions and Despicable Me. Yeah, so when that was first announced, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, this is gonna be the absolute friggin' worst. I am not looking forward to this. I do not like the stuff that they make. I despise the Minions. And I went into this movie with probably the lowest expectations that anybody could possibly have. Even after watching the first two trailers for it, I didn't watch the third trailer because I felt like it was going to be spoilerific. And wow, after watching the movie and then seeing that trailer, I was like, wow, that is very spoilerific. I'm very glad that I didn't watch that. I hated when trailers spoil like very good climactic parts of the movie. So I watched the movie, and I was like, "Hey, let me go on a Friday morning. It's like it's gonna be quiet, no kids. It's gonna be great." Yeah, apparently, Good Friday is a day off from school, so it was like mostly just parents with kids in the theater. So that kind of influenced my viewing experience for that one. I couldn't. I kind of wanted to do like a skit in the movie theater before the movie started and after the movie was over, but with all these parents and kids, I'd rather not do that before they, call the cops on me or something. It's like, this man is like doing weird stuff with like this Mario plushie. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. I was just gonna do like the cute Mario voice and go like, "Hey, it's me, Mario. I'm gonna watch my movie. Oh, I don't know what's gonna be like, but I'm very excited to see what my movie's gonna be like. Woohoo!" Stuff like that. But I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. That's very friggin' cringe to do that in like a pretty full movie theater. So I'm not like gonna review the movie or anything here. I am gonna talk about my experience about it and what I thought of the movie. The experience itself was pretty okay. There was this one kid that like almost near the end of the movie started really chattering really loudly. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is why I don't like coming to movie theaters to watch like family movies where there's nothing but kids. That's why I wanted to be here early in the morning." But alas, that was not meant to be. Um, I also felt compelled to like not laugh out loud to parts that I really enjoyed. There were some parts that I really did like. There's this part with this one character. I think most people know about this already. There's like this blue Luma, um, and just that blue Luma had the best lines, in my opinion. Had the best lines, you know. Like if you've seen the movie and you've heard his lines, you're gonna be like, "Damn, Max, what the hell?" But I'm like, you know what? In a colorful, fantastical movie, it definitely needed a character like this to bring it down to earth. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this character so much, even though it barely has like a lot of screen time. But whatever screen time that Luma got, man, seriously, it was so good. Um, yeah, I liked the movie. It was a fun movie. I didn't hate it. Um, I'm not gonna say like it's the best movie ever. It is leagues and miles beyond the 1993 movie. Anybody who says that, well, I'm a crazy dude, you know what? Fine, I'm a crazy dude. I don't care what you think. Um, I know there are people that ironically like that movie and also unironically like that movie, and I'm like, jeez, okay. Um, you're all seeing it through different like glasses. I am seeing it through like the glasses that make it 4K, man, bruh. Nah, like, when I wanna watch a Mario movie, I wanna watch a movie about Mario. I don't wanna watch a movie that was supposed to be a different movie, and they just kinda shoehorned Mario and the Mushroom Kingdom into it and just made it look weird and creepy. There's a market for that, I know that. That's why that creepy ass Pooh Winnie the Pooh indie movie got made. So, yeah, not my thing. Wouldn't watch that, and I wouldn't watch the 1993 movie ever again if I had the option to do so. And I do have the option, and I choose not to watch it again. You know what? It's fine. I've seen it enough times in my life to be like, you know what? Not a movie for me. If it's a movie for you, hey, that's your thing. Don't worry about it. But yeah, I liked the movie. It was a fun movie. There were a lot of Easter eggs. Oh, I was like, at first, especially in the beginning, I was like, "Oh wait, I know that, 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 I know that." It's like it's literally the Leonardo DiCaprio meme of, "I understood that, I understood that, I know that," or like the Captain America reference, like, "I get that reference." It was basically that for like the majority part of the beginning of the movie, and then of course you had the movie proper with, Mario and Luigi getting transported to, the Mushroom Kingdom and then getting separated, and it's up to Mario to save, his brother and Peach. So the characters are pretty solid in this movie in terms of like representation of how they're represented in the movie. I really like how they try to give Peach a little bit more of an edge, which is very of the time, but not overly so that it's like it's like Peach's show. It's no, it's a Mario Brothers movie. It's about Mario. It's about Luigi. It's about Peach. It's about Bowser. What I didn't expect early on when it was announced is that they would put Donkey Kong in it, and it was voiced by Seth Rogen. And yeah, I mean you can tell it is Seth Rogen. Uh, I mean, there's nothing particular about that. It's not an offensive uh, performance, but I wouldn't call it something that I would go like, "Hey." And that's kind of like the majority of it. Like all the performances were okay, but I don't know, man. Part of me kind of wishes that they were a little bit more caricature like, because that gives them a little bit more personality than they have, right? Because this like this movie expects you to know the very basics of like Mario games and like Mario characters. So they don't really do introductions for the characters as so much as they establish the character specifically for this movie universe, right? Because Mario and Luigi, they're plumbers. Princess Peach is the princess for some reason. Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong, Cranky Kong. I didn't expect Cranky Kong. But yeah, Cranky Kong is in there, played by Fred Armisen, who's fine, who's also fine. Like I would be like, I didn't hate the performance in that one either. Um, they had some really cool set pieces in there. I mean, some have been already in the trailer. When Mario faces off against Donkey Kong, like the whole fight is actually pretty good. Um, I don't know if everybody would agree with that, but I thought it was fun. Um, the whole training arc thing is a little bit different from what they showed in the trailer. Actually, the fight against Donkey Kong is also slightly different from actually, a lot of the stuff that they showed in the trailers got altered for the final cut, which makes no sense. The one thing that I will say about the movie before I go to the next segment is, for whatever reason, they decided to put in like I think 3 or 4 licensed songs from the 80s. Just like, and I'm like, you have the entirety of the Mario franchise, and you're borrowing stuff from DK, so you have all of that, but you decided to throw in this crap. And I'm like, this is so Illumination bullcrap. Almost feel like this is something that Nintendo had to, I don't know, if either Nintendo had to like say like, okay, fine, or they snuck this in the last minute, because at least from what I've heard and from what I've read, the soundtrack, by the way, for the movie's out like on streaming services. So if you like Spotify or Apple Music or like Google Music or whatever, it's on there. You can like listen to it, and there's a bunch of tracks that never made it to the movie. Apparently, that were made for those specific. Like if you listen to those tracks, they seem to be made specifically for the segments of the movies where they had the licensed movie in it. And I'm like, well, that's kind of stupid. That's kind of a waste of like actual songs that you made for the movie. So I kind of feel like Universal pulled a fast one on Nintendo by having that included. Despite the fact that the songs were already made and like recorded, because otherwise, why would they be on the soundtrack? So that's super weird. Oh, the only other good thing about this movie that I was so incredibly grateful for: no poop and fart jokes. Especially considering that they're plumbers. I'm surprised that they didn't do that when they were doing their job. It's like, oh my gosh! Like at the end of the movie, I like watched a review and they were like, no poop, no fart jokes. I'm like, oh my gosh, you are right. There are no fart jokes in this nonsense. I am so happy that there are no fart jokes in this entire movie. Thank you, whoever was responsible for not having them include fart jokes, because that is like the lowest common denominator for kids' movies, I feel. Yes, it'll get a chuckle out of the kids, but it'll annoy the ever living crap out of their parents that have to like sit through all this stuff. So, I mean, the climax was pretty cool. I didn't hate it. I actually liked the climax. Felt a little bit rushed, but yeah, I mean, it's a 90-minute movie, so what do you want? But yeah, that was my experience, at least, watching the Mario movie. Will I watch it again? Sure, when it comes to streaming. I don't think I'm gonna like plop down another $11 just to go watch it again, unless I'm going with someone. Um, yeah, like if someone is like, yeah, I'd be willing to, I want to watch the Mario movie. Like, would you tag along? I'd be like, yeah, sure. Um, I won't say no to it. Let me put it that way. Like, I had way more fun watching this than watching, like, for example, the first Sonic the Hedgehog movie. And I think part of it is because that is live action in quotes. um, than more than anything. That and this is just a purely 100%, uh animated movie, which works so much better. If this was like a hybrid live action thing, I think it would be 10 times worse. But yeah, great on Nintendo and Illumination for making a movie that didn't make me gag with a spoon. Yeah. Um, and apparently a lot of like viewers agree with it. Um, Critics do not, because it's like it's got a pretty bad score on Rotten Tomato. But fan like actual moviegoers seem to love it. Um, Considering that it's already made like I think 3 times as much as its budget, which is I think it was 100 million. It's like it made over 300 million um, of revenue, both domestic and like international markets combined. So that's pretty good. That's pretty awesome. I hope this means that we'll get more Nintendo related movies that are equally good, if not better. Because at this point, if you're doing this, if you're making this much money of just Mario, I don't know. I feel like you could do so much more with like every other IP that they own, even those that haven't been in the limelight for quite a while. Um, hey, Michael B. Jordan is a big fan of anime. Maybe he's team up, and he's been doing the Creed movies. Like maybe team up with him and make like a Little Mac movie. I don't know. I don't know if he'd be interested in that. I have no idea, but at the very least, I think it is worth a look and it's worth a shot. That's it for news. Stick around. I will be right back with what I have been playing. And we're back with the second segment, or at least I'm back with the second segment, which is, of course, what I've been playing. I've been playing a lot of games lately, but what I really wanted to talk about was a game that I've been playing for the past couple of months on stream, Hades. I don't know if you know Hades, but Hades is this top-down roguelike game where you play as Zagreus, the son of Hades, who's trying to escape from the underworld for whatever personal reasons that he has. I'm not going to spoil anything about the game if you haven't played it yet. I just wanted to share my experience on this particular game since it was recommended to me for a very long time to like, hey, why have you played this yet? Hades is really good. And then they announced a sequel last year that's coming out actually pretty soon. Actually, I have to double check and see when that's coming out, but it is coming out soon. And I was like, you know what? I need to finish the first game because it's a direct sequel, something that their developers have never done before. And I was like, okay, let me check out Hades, right? Let me check out Hades, and and, and see what all the hubbub is about, right? So I made this decision to start playing it during the New Year's Eve on stream, and I was instantly grabbed by the gameplay, the roguelike elements of it, the characters. Oh my gosh, the characters are so good, beautiful designs, great writing, by the way, for something that I've spent. I don't even know how long I've spent on that game, and it's just crazy that it is such a big game with so much story coming out of it. Every time you die, essentially, you kind of sort of start over. Um, with like you basically start with all your like upgrades that you've gotten throughout your run gone, and then you have to start over by getting new ones. The upgrades in this particular one are called boons. Those are the temporary upgrades that you get per run. You also end up using this mirror where you get like perma upgrades, and you can reassign them. You can make them as strong as you want. You can add more to them as time goes on, as you get more resources to do so. And you can use different weapons to go through each of your run, and each weapon has its own essential run. So, like, for example, I beat the game Uh, Gosh darn it, what did I actually beat the game with? It's been a couple of it's been like a week or so, maybe two, since I've beat the game. And I think I did it with. Ah man, I actually have a clip of this and I don't even remember. I think I did it with like wasn't a shield. I think it might have actually been the the gauntlets. That no, yeah, I think it was actually the gauntlets. Crazy. And it is just such a fine experience. All the characters are lovable except for Hypnos. Hypnos, the god of sleep, sucks. He's an annoying little brat that keeps rubbing in your face how you died, and maybe you should try dying less. Thanks, Hypnos. I wouldn't have never freaking thought of it. Sorry. Whenever I think of that character, kind of really ticks me off. But it's just, it's such a good experience. It's such a fun experience too. And it's very easy to get caught in that loop and just like try again. And then every time you get a little bit better, and you learn, like, you think like, oh, is this gonna be the run? Is this gonna be the run? Oh, this is gonna be the run. And for a while, I was like, putting like, even in like the stream titles, like, this is the run, this is the run, to a point where I was like, you know what, screw it. It's just another run. And then it happened, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it was so beautiful. The beautiful thing about Hades is that just beating Hades, your dad, that is literally just the beginning of everything. Um, you get you get like, it's so hard to do it without spoiling the game, but it is the beginning of the story. Let me tell you that much, because you get a lot of hints throughout the gameplay. You meet interesting characters, some more fun than others. I'm talking to you, Thaddeus, stupid bastard. Um, Crap. I guess that's a spoiler, kind of. Sorry. Um, but yeah, oh my gosh, there are so many cool, interesting characters in here, that are just, you want to know more about them, how they relate to Zagreus, and to the underworld, and to Hades, and all the other characters in the underworld. It's just a really good fun romp. It's 100% recommend. I think at this point it's on every platform imaginable. It started off as a PC and Switch console timed exclusive for like, I think, a year before it came to Xbox, and then later to PlayStation. I think it came to PlayStation like sometime earlier this year. Um, so yeah, it's like, it's so freaking cool. Hades 2 doesn't have an announced release date yet, but I can, from what I saw from the trailer, I can only imagine it's gonna be nothing but good stuff. It's gonna be nothing but good stuff. If the first game was that good, you know what? I give, like, Supergiant Games have been so good with their games. I don't doubt that their first sequel won't be as good, if not better, than the first game. Outside of that, I've been playing other stuff. I've been playing Breath of the Wild again, y'all. Breath of the Wild is so good. It's so good. Did y'all see? Did I talk about? Yeah, I think I talked about it in the last episode. I talked about it in the last episode, but the Tears of the Kingdom gameplay just made me go, yeah, this is the yeah. I want to fuse stuff together. And I'm playing Breath of the Wild. I'm like, damn it, I wish I could fuse stuff right now. It's like, give me the game right now. Oh my goodness, I made sure to take time off for that game, most definitely. So look forward to that. Other than that, I've actually been playing some other stuff. Uh, I've been playing Majora's Mask on the 3DS. In lieu of the 3DS eShop closing, I made sure to buy Majora's Mask because that's the one game I missed. And if I were to buy this on the resale market, it would be astronomically more expensive than it is on the eShop, despite the fact that it would cost like $40 on the eShop, which I really despise. But whatever. It's one of the games that I bought on the eShop that I was like, okay, I need to do this. So I started playing Majora's Mask, and I remember I remember. Damn, Majora's Mask is kind of interesting to get into, to say the least. Because of the whole 3-day mechanic, then the like essentially like you have to rewind time so that you don't die, stuff like that. And yeah, at the very least, it's way more friendly with the whole bomber journal that keeps track of like everybody that you meet in the game instead of like you having to do it manually with pen and paper and stuff like that, or using a walkthrough. I'm gonna do my best. I'm not gonna play this with a walkthrough. I'm just gonna go through the game and play it as natural as possible. So yeah, that is it for what I've been playing. I guess that is also it for this episode of Game Rivals, which is since I've been doing the solos, I think this is the longest episode I've done so far. But thank you all. If you've reached the end of this episode, thank you. I really appreciate you for listening to my ramblings about gaming news and what I've been playing. I appreciate the lot of you. Please don't forget to share the podcast with people that you like, even with people that you don't like. As long as people get to listen to the episode, I'm very grateful for it. You can find the podcast, of course, the way you found this, as always, on every podcasting service. Our home is on Spotify, uh, through Spotify, of course, but you can also find us on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, uh, whatever podcasting service you're using. We're probably there. So yeah, you just Google us in there. You can also find us on YouTube, which is youtube.com/@GameRivals. That's right, we got the handle, baby. Got the handle. Um, you can find us also on Twitter, which is @game_rivals_. I'm also on Twitter, but I don't really do anything on Twitter. If you want to message me on there, it's fine. It's @Maximilian on Twitter. I'm also on Instagram, which is @Maximilian_X. I don't have an Instagram for Game Rivals yet. Still work in progress. We used to have one, but things have changed. So hang on. I'm still working on that. There is also a Game Rivals TikTok, but I also don't really manage that one just yet. Still works in progress. Still works in progress. Don't worry about it. And you can always send us an email with your feedback at gamerivalsfeedback@gmail.com. And that is gonna be it for me today, this week. Thank you again so much for listening. I appreciate the lot of you. I have been and always will be Maximilian X, and I will catch you all next time. Later.